Moving on to um, a team that I think a lot of people are expecting some level of comeback. I think both of us would be included in that. The Denver Broncos, coming off of just a debauchery of a season last year, just hedonistic, I would say. It was horrible. The Nat Hackett disaster, where I think he was the fourth coach in the modern era of football to be hired and fired in the same year. Um, if they had scored just 20 points in each of their games, they would have won. They would have won 11-6. I mean, they would have
I'm in a
been
playoff
that,
team.
that would have been a playoff team at just 20 points, which is, by the way, what the Carolina Panthers, with their rotation of terrible quarterbacks, averaged last year. So, I mean, just pretty bad. They obviously moved off of Nat Hackett. There was all these stories about Russell Wilson and his office and his parking space, and he's doing these weird social media posts and like high fiving ghosts. It was absolutely bizarre. Paid him like $200 million. Just a really rough season all around for a Broncos team that I think a lot of people thought could follow that LA Rams track, that Tampa Bay Buccaneers track, where they're like, hey, they're kind of a quarterback away. Let's go get it. Oh my god, this thing is just caught on fire. So Christian, with Sean Payton now at the helm, with a retooled Russell Wilson, with a retooled offensive line, Mike McGlinchey, Ben Powers getting added, where do you think this team lands this year?
um, so they went 5-12 last year, just for the record.
Okay.
I say they improve. I got them going 8-9.
Oh wow. So you still think they're gonna have a losing record?
Yeah, I still think they're gonna have a losing record. I'm not fully convinced Sean Payton can fix Russell Wilson. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm like on the Russell Wilson is kind of wash band like train, but I'm flirting with it, you know. Uh, so this is a really like prove it year. I will say though, I do have them going 2-0 their first two games, beating the Raiders and the Commanders. They
Strong
turn
start.
around and lose to Miami, and then they beat Chicago. So I got them going 3-1 in their first four games, and then it gets a little rough. Yeah, and I got them. Let's see, I got them losing to the Lions. I got them getting swept by the Chargers. Uh, I say they beat the Bills on Monday night, coming off a bye.
That's pretty good.
Um,
Okay, so you got them winning some tough games, but it sounds like
yeah,
overall
two and
it's a little
four in
bit
the
up and down.
division. So yeah, not going to be really, in my opinion, not going to be competing for it. But we will see. I don't know. Where are you on the Russell Wilson train, Jake?
I don't know. I mean, part of me really does want to believe, yeah, Russell Wilson is just a bad year. Just kind of throw it out, don't count
Mhm.
it. But
I
the
want
other
to.
part of me, I mean, he is older. A lot of his game has always been predicated on running the ball or at least scrambling in a way that I'm not
Mhm.
sure he's able to in the same way. He's not as young as he used to be. Um, I do think Sean Payton has shown he can win with older, limited quarterbacks. I mean, he was carrying a very old Drew Brees to the playoffs year after year. He was making Taysom Hill work. He made Jameis Winston look like he was actually kind of competent. So, like, I do think there is some precedent that says, look, if Russell Wilson can just get back to the median quarterback level, like, I think
Mhm.
this team can be good. I have them going 10-7. Um, Now the way I have it now in the standings, I don't know if that'll be enough to make the playoffs.
It
So
is AFC.
yeah, so I'll have to kind of retool that and see where I land when I finalize the predictions. Right now, I have them at about 10-7. I think that's a realistic expectation. I have them struggling in their division a little bit. I have them. It's a very up and down season for them, right? So I think it starts off kind of slow, but I do think it'll end stronger once that team is a little more cohesive. I do
Mhm.
worry about their weapons a little bit. I mean, Jerry Judy's good, but Cortland
He
Sutton's
gets
pretty
hurt.
good. He does get hurt.
Cortland
Cortland
Sutton
Sutton's been
gets a
up
little
and
hurt.
down.
They lost Tim Patrick
They lost Tim
again.
Patrick. Like, yeah,
Uh, off
And
the ACL, I think,
their
or
run
what?
game
Yeah,
should be okay though. Like they should have a decent run game. Offensive line's retooled. Defense is strong. So they
I
have a
think
lot of
I
things
think I
going.
think Sean Payton's gonna like, hey, we're gonna establish the run and
Oh yeah,
play off that defense. So I think
for
it's
sure.
gonna be play action, like motion, play action, all that stuff. But I think the core of this offense is gonna be predicated on how well they can run the ball. Like I don't think it's. I mean, you do probably want to get Russell Wilson moving in the pocket, so like some quick stuff, quick screens, like motion out to the. I think Sean Payton can be creative with this offense, but I think you do want to. I think this Denver team is going to see like a lot of their success in their running game, and
Yeah, and
getting the
part of that is
running to pass to get those big plays,
exactly.
and then play good defense, and you'll win most of those games at home. I expect them to do pretty well. I them
Yeah.
4-5. I probably should go look into it a little bit more, but into their schedule. But I think they could be possibly good. I'm just not sure like what we're gonna get from Russ like that. I think that's what this whole operation is predicated on is how good Russ
Yeah.
is because we know how good that defense can be.
We
That
know what
defense
Sean
can be
Payton
really
can do.
good. We
Perennial
know what
playoff
Sean Payton
coach.
can do. It's just like can Russ deliver and like he doesn't even have to deliver big. We don't need Denver don't need 30 touchdowns. They need like 20 to 25 and maybe like even up to 26 and like keep your interceptions down, just
Yep.
play within the offense. So
Well, and I think going piggybacking off of what you said a little bit ago about trying to establish that run, right? Because Sean Payton can talk about all he wants. Oh, we need to get Russell Wilson to play like he's basketball on turf again or something like that, right? But
okay.
the reality is, we have seen the let Russ cook movement die. I mean, it has just never, like, in no season that it's been advocated for has it aged well. Even when he was in Seattle, it's like, boy, they really should take a little bit off of Russell Wilson's plate. Russell Wilson has always worked best when you can run the ball and take it out of his hands as much as possible. And that's not an insult on Russell Wilson. That's just when you can allow Russell Wilson to play within a system, that is when he's been his best. And I think Sean Payton knows that. And I think that's going to be the goal. So I guess my question to you is before we wrap up on the Denver Broncos, what should the expectation be for the Broncos? Is this a disappointment if they miss the playoffs? Or do you think that based off what happened last year, going 8-9, 9-8, 10-7, missing the playoffs, but having a competitive, viable season, is that enough of a success? Or is this team playoff or bust?
um I guess when you bring in the fact that they brought Sean Payton in to kind of fix this mess, I guess that is, kind of the expectation. This guy has won a Super Bowl. His quarterback was putting up all these yards. He's supposed to be this quarterback guru and stuff like that. So I can see that probably being the expectation of, oh yeah, this team needs to make the playoffs. But I mean, I got them going back. In my opinion, I am not a Denver Broncos fan. I like the Broncos, but I'm not a fan of them. I wouldn't hate this if they won 5 games. They won 3 more games, maybe just right out of that playoff push. I would be satisfied with the season, depending on what we get from Russ to like make my future feel a lot better. Um, Realistically, I think they can make the playoffs.
Well, is it a disappointment if they miss
Is
the
it a
playoffs?
disappointment? Okay, yeah. Is it a disappointment? I'm gonna say no, but it depends on the record. Like if they get 6 wins, like we still suck, Like 8-9, being 8-9, I feel like is like okay, we just lost, that 1 or 2 possession game, where we didn't manage the clock well, or like we had a late game turnover or something like that, stupid stuff like that. So, um, I don't know. This team had, I mean, the Denver Broncos haven't won much since Peyton retired in that Super Bowl. Like they've been kind of spiraling like since then. So it's like this culture hasn't like they haven't had a winning culture in a little bit. So it's gonna be hard. I mean, I mean, it can be done. I've seen it. Like, new coaches come in and turn a whole thing around in like one season. I don't know if there's just is it too much instability there in Denver before it can be like really solidified. I don't know, but I wouldn't think it would be a disappointment depending on how their season goes. Like if they're 8-9 or they're 1 or 2 games out of it, I'm like, hey, we just gotta lock in better, and next year they can get those 2 wins. I don't know, so.
I disagree, actually. I do think it's a disappointment if they don't win because if you're the Broncos, you're looking at the whole picture and you're saying, okay, where is our team lacking? We have a good defense. We have a good offensive line now that we've retooled this year. We have a
And who
good
knows
head
how that
coach.
offensive line is going to play?
It might take, yeah, it might be a little slow on the uptake for sure, but like you look around and it's like, look, we got everything. Yeah, are we a weapon or two away from being like an elite team? Maybe. But all in all, I mean, this team's got to feel like it has everything in place, which means it's really on Russell Wilson. And when you have your quarterback, you're paying $200 million, which that contract's supposed to start next year. I feel like there is this kind of expectation where you're like, look, what if we don't make the playoffs this year, what's keeping us out of it? Why are we not good enough to get 10, even 11 wins? Just enough to make that wild card spot in the playoffs. I feel like there's going to be some hard questions that have to be asked if they miss the playoffs, because if they make the playoffs, it's like that kind of feels like they're supposed to, right? When you have Russell Wilson, when you have the pieces around him that they do, that's a playoff team, traditionally speaking. And if it's not, I don't know. It feels like there's got to be some questions that have to be asked.
You
And
get rid of them. The answer to
but it's
that,
also tough because, like, I mean, that's massive salary cap hit. I mean, you're
it's
putting a
the richest
stranglehold
owners in the league now.
with the
They can pay
salary
it.
cap. The salary cap is the salary cap, and you're going to stranglehold the amount of money you can pay other people. So, and I mean, if I don't know, it just seems tough because they could end up stranded in the middle of that first round, right? Not bad, but not good, and then you miss out on a chance to really go get a future quarterback in the Caleb Williams
You're
and
not getting Caleb Williams. The
yeah,
Broncos
I
are
know, but
not
there's a
getting Caleb
number. There's like
Williams.
3 or 4 quarterbacks that are coming out this year, and you may miss your chance to get one of them if you underperform, but still aren't a bad team. So I don't know. I feel like the Broncos are in a tough spot. They're such an anomaly with the whole Russell Wilson thing. I have them going 10-7 though, and I think if they miss the playoffs, I'm gonna have to ask some tough questions, Mister.